Welcome to BlastMasters. I'm Tristan Worthy,
I'm Nathan Rouse.
and we're here to talk to you about boulder blasting today.
And we have Dr. Paul Worthy to talk to us about a unique way of doing boulder blasting that's safe and will not produce fly rock.
All right, come on in.
Hi guys. So usually when we have to get rid of boulders, there's two main techniques that people usually use. The oldest is plaster charges, where we mud cap it and we get a big dope of explosives, a few sticks, and then we put a bunch of mud over the top of it and we try and keep that energy in to smash the boulder apart. But usually you're using over 2 pound or 4 pound per cubic yard of boulders, and of course when you've got something that's virtually unconfined, it makes a whole bunch of air blast, and it throws loads of small pieces of rock up off the top of the boulder everywhere, and it's a very dangerous technique. MSHA frowns on it, by the way, and people have had a lot of problems with that in the past. Well, the more sensible way to do it that people have used is to drill a hole into the boulder. Okay, I've got one here, and then they're loaded up with some explosives, usually about 1/4 pound per cubic yard. So it's a fairly light load compared with what we use in bench blasting, which is up usually 1 pound per cubic yard or over, especially for limestone quarries. So they'll put 1 pound per cubic yard in this boulder here, and this boulder would be, it's about 2.5 foot high, 3 foot wide and 5 foot, so it's up there a little bit over a cubic yard, and so I'm going to probably put 1/3 of a pound of explosive in this. Now what happens when you shoot these is it just disintegrates it, and they go away all over the place, and okay, then you kind of lose your rock because you have to gather it all back up again. So usually when people do this, in the old days they have a lot of boulders, and then have to go in with a front end loader. Now whenever I go into somewhere and we talk about boulder shooting, everybody goes, oh damn, we all got to take cover, right? Well, I'm going to show you now a technique that we developed a few years ago and started to be applied in industry, especially in Missouri, for breaking boulders, especially when you've got some potential targets in close vicinity. And this technique has been used for shooting big lumps of rock down by Springfield, Missouri, cap rock, some pieces 5-6 foot in size, right next to trailers and things like that, and it works pretty effectively. So what do? Well, what we do is we drill our normal hole about 2/3 of the way into the hole, to the boulder. Unfortunately my students here are a bit I don't know, they got a weird idea on, you know, how far 6 inches is, right? And this one should have been about 20 inches, and this is only 15. So anyway, because this is about 30 inches high, okay? We drill the hole, usually a small one jackleg, or you could use a smaller bit on an air track or a hydraulic drill. This one here is 2.5 inches. I've known people that have done it up to 4 inches in size for larger boulders. And what we're going to do is put a small explosive charge in, usually about 10 grams per cubic yard. So what I'm going to do, I've got 2 8-gram stingers here I'm going to put together. I'm going to put those in the hole. Now normally we have these are very small, and we've got a decent sized hole, so you've got a lot of air around it, so it's going to do nothing at all. But what we use in this technique is we fill the hole full of water, and then we insert the explosive charge down halfway into the hole, and when it goes boom, okay, the water above it, okay, provides some resistance, okay, not a great deal but enough, and then the water below is compressed, and the way this technique works is the pressure, okay, is transferred to the water, and the water is relatively incompressible. So the water down in the middle of this boulder gets really pressurized to quite a pressure, and that cracks the rock apart. Now, as the rock comes apart through this really high pressure, okay, then there's not much gas for these this amount of explosives. So what happens, the gas pressure dissipates very quickly and the rock particles aren't thrown that far. And that's how this technique works so well. We've shot it up to 9 cubic yard boulders and used a 90-gram cast booster on that. Worked great, and that many years ago. We've done it in limestone and some igneous rocks. We haven't tried it in sandstone yet, but in these parts we have a lot of limestone and a little bit of igneous, and it's been used quite a lot by contractors. Okay, so let's have a look what we're going to do here. I've got 2 boulders here to shoot today, and they're both a little bit over a yard, so I'm going to need a little bit bigger charge than just one of these 8-gram stingers. So I'm going to put 2 together because I've only got 8-gram ones in the magazine at the moment. So let's try and get these 2 together. Oops, I'm being a bit butterfingers here, but I'm just trying to make sure they're in pretty good contact between them. Ooh, that's a bit strong's tape. And then I'm going to use an electric cap, okay, to prime these things. Usually you want to make sure it's in all the way, so I usually twist it to make sure it's in contact, and then it's going to work well. And I'm going to put this at halfway down the hole. So I'm going to measure the hole again, and this one here is 15 inches, so I'm going to stick that halfway down, which is about 7.5. So to be able to do that, I'm going to measure off about 7.5 on this cap here, and put a little twist in it like that so I know where it is, and that's going to be lowered into the hole. Now I'm going to put the water in, and I messed up a bit when I came from home this morning because I meant to bring some milk jugs to make it easier, the process easier. But anyway, so I've got the hole full of water. I'm going to drop this in again. It really should be a bit deeper, and I'm supporting it here at the right height, okay, with a little bit of tubing. You can use a twig or another wire or something just to bridge the hole over the top. And now this thing is ready to fire. So what we're going to do is connect it up and stand back a ways, not too far, and I'll shoot it. Fire in the hole! Let's give this thing a whirl. Fire in the hole! Let's give this thing a whirl. Fire in the hole! Let's give it. go and take a look at it. So here's our boulder, smashed up, quite nice. Usually it'll break it into about 4 pieces. This one here, irregular shaped rock, but you can see the hole there. It really needs to be a little bit higher, deeper. One of the things you'll notice here is there's a little bit of black sooting, and that's from the pentalite little small cast boosters. And, that's kind of typical. A little bit of black tape as well. But typically what we see, and not a bad job, so I think we'll go on to the second one.
Fire in the hole!
Excellent.
Fire!
Right, and here we are at that second boulder. You can see 3 of the main pieces here. There's another one just beside the camera down there with green spray paint on it. And the pieces are only separated by about 8 feet. And I believe the charge was a bit closer on this side, so it popped and rolled it out a little bit more. But as you can see, virtually all the rocks right here. A lot of times though, we have tabular boulders which aren't really very deep and they're quite wide. In those cases you need a lot more explosives, and generally what we do is we multiply the charge we use by the width to height ratio. So if it's 3 times as wide as it's high, you're going to have to use 3 times the amount of explosives, or you're going to have to do a bunch of separate holes. Now when you have a thin boulder to shoot, your charge is not going to be very deep. It's going to be up nearer the top, so you can get a bit of spalling, and in that case it's wise to use a small blasting mat to stop those small spalls.
This is so stupid.
Boulders, boulders, boulders.
What?
Boulders, boulders, boulders.
Yeah!
Boulders, boulders, boulders.
Okay!
Boulders, boulders.
That's a wrap.